Let Rajat Sethi respond to that. If this is so spiritual, then why are the cameras tagging him, Rajat?
Is he himself carrying the cameras?
Yes, because there's no other. So there's nobody's camera there. It's the cameras from people around him, which are the only cameras that are there.
This is the problem. This is the problem, Rahul. Can we for once get up out of these political bickering? Give man his space, for God's sake. He's going through his own self-purification. Where do we all come in? We have our own
Sanjay, I respond to that.
Space. It is his
Give the man some space, says Rajat Sethi. Sanjay.
Don't we all understand we are doing a debate, for God's sake, on such a silly topic? He is going through purification. We should be taking this half an hour and do our own self-purification rather.
Okay.
Aap bhi dhyan karo, Sanjay. You also meditate, says Rajat Sethi. Less carping, more meditation.
Yeah, Rahul, let me tell you, nobody knows when I meditate, by the way. And one of the thumb rules of meditation, if anybody really believes that he's a proponent of Hinduism, is that you got to be actually in isolation. And you got to be aware that you are not just in isolation because you are all by yourself, but nobody else is around you. Mr. Modi is a complete contrarian to what meditation stands for. Point number 2, and this is critical, this is a silent period, as Rahul, as you correctly pointed out at the beginning of the debate. Now, I can tell you Mr. Modi has a right to go wherever he wants, but Rashid has hit the nail on the head. That if you truly believe that this is your private moment to probably get over your guilt or remorse or whatever it is, or to believe in the great world you're going to create for the next 1,000 years, kindly do that in your private domain. And if you're choosing a public space,
exactly,
you know
like
cameras are going to be there. Mr. Modi is a sharp political character. He knows the cameras are going to be there.
Wherever.
And it is exploiting for political capital. Can I speak without this gentleman interrupting? Okay. It is exploiting for political capital a moment which is meant to be private. And you think he doesn't know that the opposition will be up in arms? He knows that. He is playing a very deliberate political, shall we say, move on the chessboard, which is, I think, technically immoral and spiritually absolutely unethical.
Okay, Dushyant Sridhar, you're a Vedic scholar, respond to Sanjay Jha's argument that if this was all about spirituality, it should be done in private. No one should know what you're doing, why you're doing it, where you're doing it. You do it for yourself. The charge is that because he's doing it by announcing that this is being done, a lot of this is to try and circumvent the moral code of conduct, find some way of ensuring that you are in public circulation, even though technically you're not saying anything, you aren't making a speech, but still your mug is out there that this is surreptitious campaigning.
Namaskaram, Rahul. Namaskaram to all my panelists and the viewers of India Today. Very quickly, 3 points. The first point is with respect to the statue there. It is that of Thiruvalluvar. And Rahul, over 15 times in his speeches, the Honorable Prime Minister has quoted the couplets of Tirukkural, which is a compendium of 1,330 verses in chaste Tamil written 2,000 years before by Saint Thiruvalluvar. In the 610th Kural, the poet says, a person who works extremely hard, he will be able to attain and receive the riches and the prosperity of all the worlds that Lord Trivikrama received. Probably the Honorable Prime Minister is imbibed and he takes inspiration from Thiruvalluvar. Point number 1. Point number 2, the town is called Kanniyakumari. It is named after Shakti Devi, Parvati, who through the form of Kanniyakumari destroyed an Asura called as Banasura, who thought that a lady can never destroy him. So this is the belief that we Hindus have. And it is from the very same place, Kanniyakumari, that one politician listened to a pastor's speech where the pastor said that Shakti is not true God. Maybe to do Prayashchittam for that statement made in Kanniyakumari that celebrates a Devi, the Prime Minister would have thought, let me do Prayashchittam meditating there. And with respect to Prayashchittam, one panelist said for all the speeches that he has made, he has to do Prayashchittam, atonement. That way, even a person who has been carrying a constitution book all along in the rallies stating that this will be changed, and for having listened to a statement as obnoxious as Shakti Devi is not a true God, should sit along with him and do that meditation. And the very third point that I would like to make is 2 points were raised in this debate. One, with respect to he has taken the oath of a Prime Minister, how can he absolve himself from doing his duties for 2 days? And then came the conduct, the NCC. So it is in the very state of Tamil Nadu that a conference was called as an abolition of Sanatana Dharma conference, and a sitting minister presided over it and called Sanatana Dharma Hinduism by names such as AIDS and cholera. That person was not condoned. There was no question of conduct. There was no question of having taken oath under the constitution there that came. And now if a person sits on a vow of silence, immediately MCC will come, immediately atonement, parayashchitam will come. It is to each one of them to internalize and understand and contemplate if the statements that they make have any nyayam in it.
Okay, Rashid Kizwai respond. Ultimately, it's about choice. It's about how the Prime Minister wishes to spend this time. And at some level, it's also the media's fault. If you're showing this, you're as much to blame, because the fact is this is how he wants to spend his time. And I know that there are leaders in the Congress and elsewhere who've also made holiday plans and are doing various things. And therefore, that's the point that's being made, to each his own. Let them do what they want, whatever gives them joy, whatever gives them satisfaction. After all that they've been through in the past 75 days, all of them are entitled to de-stress.
Rahul, I've said earlier, I am repeating again, Prime Minister is within his rights to be doing this. There is no two views about it. I said what opposition is saying or doing is incorrect and futile. Key point here, and I didn't say that Prime Minister should not observe, Maun Vrat, he should. But I am saying the kind of, politics they have, the kind of governance we have, the kind of international situation we have. I think, I'm a little worried that, Prime Minister, would he be able to, maintain his vow of silence for 48 hours or more? That's it. That's the key point.
So I want to raise the level of this debate just a moment, go across to Hindal Sengupta and try and explain what were the kind of learnings that Swami Vivekananda came up with while he was at the Vivekananda Rock Memorial. From what I've read, it seems this is where he came up with the concept of Bharat Mata. How did he envision it? And from the actions and the speeches of the Prime Minister, which parts of Swami Vivekananda's life and writings do you think he's most inspired by and trying to implement in his real life?
I think, Rahul, we must understand that Swami Vivekananda represents, as I often say, the confidence of the colonized. Remember, Swami Vivekananda was part and lived in a country which was, colonized. And yet he had the confidence to go out there in the West and essentially declare that his civilization, his culture, was not only equal to, but had a lot to teach the West. Now, this was unique. No other colonial figure, suppressed colonial figure showed this kind of confidence or had this kind of confidence. I think one of the clear messages that Prime Minister Modi, and remember, we are forgetting one part of history. Prime Minister Modi, when in his early life, when he was a young man, tried to become a monk of the Ramakrishna Mission. A senior monk of the Ramakrishna Mission, after he made repeated attempts to become a monk, told him that this was not his path. He had to go and do things in the world. And that's why he didn't become a monk. So his association with Swami Vivekananda goes back a long way. Now, the lesson I think that Narendra Modi has taken from the teachings of Swami Vivekananda is this, that India must rise in the world. This was very, very dear to Swami Vivekananda's life and teachings, that India had something unique and precious to offer to the world, and India must rise in the world, not only spiritually, Rahul, also materially. That's why Swami Vivekananda constantly spoke about strength, physical strength among people, and also national strength, what we would call today comprehensive national strength. So this idea that India must rise and India must take its natural position of leadership in the Committee of Nations is a theme that comes again and again and again in Swami Vivekananda's work. And even though Swami Vivekananda saw a colonial nation, he could imagine that India would one day rise. And I think in all his associations with Swami Vivekananda and with the Ramakrishna Mission, Narendra Modi has taken the lesson that his journey, if there is one, is to build an India that rises. And that's why this constant references to rising India, that's why this desire to become Vishwa Guru, that's why this constant emphasis that from the fifth largest economy will become the third largest economy. And indeed, in the Security Council, India must take its rightful position. All of these themes can be taken back to the spiritual nationalism of Swami Vivekananda, who was really, in many ways, the first great monk of Indian nationalism, the first great leader of Indian nationalism.